Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Making It podcast. Now, I've just done something that's made Dan laugh already. I always try and unsettle you before an episode to see if you'll crack and laugh, but always seem to resist it until now, obviously. Dan, it's good to be back with you, mate. Episode 31, 31 weeks into the year. How exciting. We are definitely more than halfway through the year. I just turned 20. I'm old now. We're both officially old. That last bit of youth, man. I was loving it. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good, bro. I'm in my granddad's house right now. That's why it looks a bit different for those watching. But no, it's been a good week. Happy birthday for yesterday. I know I've already mentioned it, but happy birthday on the podcast. It's quite nice actually that I'm at my granddad's because we're having some chill time with the family and just easing back, and it's nice to reflect in those moments. But no, I've had a good week. I've been doing I think something which has been really good for me over summer is doing the football coaching on a Wednesday, which obviously you were doing beforehand, but with you being in Australia, it's given me the opportunity to do it, which I'm very grateful for. But it's given me that fulfillment of being away from uni, but also having something that is fulfilling, where, that conflict I always had of being home and not feeling like I'm doing that journey when I'm away from uni, but doing football coaching at home has given me that fulfillment which I've needed, and it's nice working with a younger age group because it's a new experience because I've been used to working with people my age, so it's more of a development thing for me. I quite like being able to push younger children into a higher development and seeing where they can improve and giving them that extra boost of confidence. So yeah, it's been a good week. I've done a couple of shifts in the pub. Had a bit of a night out on Friday, which is always good fun. Seeing Judy this week. She's back from America, so it's nice seeing her. Shout out to Judy as always. But it's been a good week, brother. But how about you, man? I know you had some parts of your football coaching journey in terms of that aspect of getting used to losing and how we have to lose and go through failures like that. And obviously your birthday week as well. So how's your week been, brother?
Well, first of all, I blame the loss on Ryan Fuchs. So this isn't a shout out to Ryan Fuchs. I'm just blaming you, mate, because every time I text you or call you about football, things go wrong. But he knows what I'm on about. Bless you. No, it wasn't a good weekend. Our team hasn't lost all season, and we were getting closer to the period where we could call ourselves invincible this season, which would have been amazing. But it was probably a bit unrealistic. Nice to kind of dream for a little bit, but it was a game where tactically we were outclassed, and it was the first game where I was almost completely silent for most of it. I didn't
How
have a
come?
lot
What was the reason?
because my mind was just thinking. Because we've become so accustomed to winning, I thought that everything that I was saying and that I was doing and suggesting was right. And maybe it was until that day when I realised not only are the kids not invincible with this, and I knew I wasn't anyway. Like I knew the score because of obviously with being with Beeston and things being a bit difficult there. I've not just coached at this higher level. I've coached within the grassroots bit, and I'm seeing kids and just not wanting to turn up to training. You've got a group of 16, 17 committed kids that want to win, that want to win trophies and have definitely got the quality to win this league. But the other coach, he watched us train. He'd obviously been to a couple of our matches. He saw how we play, and his game plan, they'd been practicing for 4 weeks just for this one game. So I'm informed, and they just outclassed us. They knew where to press. A couple of our players didn't do the job properly for sure. And Zen, bless him, who I live with, obviously he's a bit wounded because it was him that lunged in for a tackle, and the opposition went and scored to make it 3-2 in the last 4 minutes. So I've not seen my water bowl since that day. I don't know where it's gone, but I threw it about and I think it got smashed. So it wasn't a good day. I felt a bit crap after that. Anyway, I was refereeing on the Friday night. Didn't feel too good. A lot of abuse. But yeah, these are all things that happen in sport, and I think it's really important. Like I said to the lads after the match, I just asked them, "Do you understand where you think you went wrong?" And they said, yes, I think we do. And we kind of spoke about why. And I said, this is good. You know, that some of them were crying, some of them were really upset. I said, this is good. This is a good feeling. What you're feeling right now is raw, honest feeling. And it's a feeling of, we know we could have done more, but we didn't. And I'm glad that you're accountable. That's all I
So
ask.
what would you say is the most important thing to do after losing a football match? You know, in those moments straight after where everyone's gutted. I've been there before. I mean, obviously, last year I lost every game apart from no, not every game, but a lot of them were losses or draws, and it wasn't until the end when we won. But what would you say is the most important to do in that most important to do, brother? Most important thing to do in that moment after losing a football game?
You'll get there, Dan. You will get keep practicing, you know, and you'll get there one day. I would say it depends on the level. Anything below 16, 17s, I would probably suggest the first thing you do, comforting them. It's like cutting yourself. It's just bleeding out. As soon as that game finishes, that cut's opened up. And the first thing you should do is try and put a plaster on it. You've got to try and just find some way to stop that bleed and just control the situation. Once you've done that, then you've kind of got to be honest. Take the plaster off, put a bit of cleaning fluid on it, you know, if we're talking medical terms, disinfectant. But in terms of that, you should always try and, control the situation, try and, lower the emotional load that's on the players and the pressure. And then after that, give them the honest truth of how you feel as a coach, what you think went wrong, how you think they can improve, and a general message of what you want to achieve at your next training session based on that. It's always important to set the precedent. If you just gone and won a game, you might say, have a good rest, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you at training. If you've lost a game, you'll say, okay, boys, have a bit of a rest, have a think, and then come to training with the right mentality, and be prepared to work hard in training as well as you do in a match, if not harder. That's the sort of thing. So you've got to tailor your advice to the different age groups. Older guys, the adults, like your guys when you're at uni, you just got to tell them how it is. They don't want the crap. They don't want you to comfort them and tell them it's all going to be all right, mate. It's fine. You're all good. Don't worry, boys. You're okay. Like, they're all going out for pints after this. Like, you know what I mean? They're all adults.
Yeah, I think
So,
when I was in that dressing room when we would lose a game, sometimes there was moments where there wasn't really too much going on after a game. The game kind of happened and everyone just kind of went away. We didn't really speak too much after the game because I think sometimes you don't really need to. When you've just lost a game and it's all a bit raw, like it's
yeah,
quite good actually sometimes to kind of just let it sit and then we'll talk about it at training. But especially in away days when you've got a whole coach back and you've got to talk to each other. Often what I'd do is just kind of like I'd maybe say something to begin with, but then I'll go, all right, lads, where do we all think we kind of went wrong? I'd open it up to the whole dressing room. I just think it's good as a team to all talk together and people throw their suggestions and it would never be an argument, which was great. It'd always be like a debate or maybe where things went wrong, which is great. And then I'd say my piece where I think potentially we could have worked on. But I'd also give a positive encouragement about something good which we happened. You don't want it all to be focused on the loss and all to be about the negatives. But then when it gets to the coach back, like always with the lads, obviously it's uni in it, so it was almost like a reset. And they like you say, they were on the beers and they were going out that night because that's just what uni's like, which is something I'm going to take into next year a little bit more. I think I'm going to make it a bit more clear where when it comes to the game, I want all the lads to be as competitive as possible. But when it comes to after the game, I understand it. If you want to be social and you're obviously you're going on your night out because that's uni, that's where the balance is. But I just want to make it clear next year, like, of course we're all here. It's uni. A lot of us are there for the people are there for the social, the fun side of it. But in that 90 minutes, it's all got to be competitive. I think I'm going to make that a bit clearer next year. But those feelings, those feelings of loss, those feelings of pain, sadness, I definitely find myself sometimes facing a perspective where I'm always trying to be positive, but I don't think that's very productive. I think there are moments where we are going to be sad and we are going to be angry or we are going to be upset or we're going to make a mistake and we're going to feel bad. And instead of, like we always speak about, instead of fighting that emotion, it's about sitting with it and being with it. But how important for you are, I don't want to label them as negative feelings because they're not so negative all the time. They actually do help us out. But when you feel sad or things are a bit low, how important is it to feel those emotions as well as always being, instead of always trying to be upbeat?
You just got to take it. You've just got to take it on the chin. In the last week, I've listened to more heavy metal music and rock music than I ever have in my entire life. I don't know why, but I've
Not
found
because of
something.
Ozzy?
No, well, because of potentially obviously Ozzy Osbourne died, which is crazy, crazy sad. My household was always Ozzy Osbourne growing up because of my stepdad. But I would just say in general, maybe when he died, I listened to it that day and it triggered something. But I just found something that when I was feeling a bit uneasy or I needed something to just help me focus, I listened to a bit of heavy metal music. And as the week's gone on, I've discovered that I love the genre, and I've discovered a new bit of music that I love, which is so exciting for me because this week has been a pretty difficult week. Friday, refereeing, I didn't really get to do a lot of coaching. I was a bit upset about that because I really enjoy my coaching, and the refereeing did take over, but it was a tough night. I just got in and listened to Radiohead for like 2 hours and just looked at the ceiling. It was just tough. Saturday was up super early. Went to a fishing show. Bollocks, by the way.
What is a fishing show,
So
mate?
boring. I mean, you just go to like a fishing convention where like you can win reels, and it's basically just to look at the new fishing technology people are bringing out. And there's thousands of these Aussies there, and I'm just like,
I
I
got this
walked
new
in
rod,
with
mate.
got this new rod and a fish on it, mate. Well, I walked in and this woman just went, "I think you might be at the wrong convention, mate." And I went, "Yeah, no shit. Like this is rubbish." She was like, "Don't worry, there's like a little coffee thing over there." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going." Sat on the toilet for half an hour, but yeah, no, this weekend, especially with the football, kind of just sitting and listening to music, but reflecting is so important. You know, it's important to understand why. We always say the why you are sad, and then I like to kind of think, especially at the moment, can I change it? Because I think we all like to focus on things we can't change. Sorry, that we can change. Or sorry, that we can't change. I'm going back and forward. Things that we can't change. We always like to focus on them. Like someone said something about us and we don't like it. We fixate on it.
Or the past.
Or the past. We've got to fixate on stuff we can't change because it gives us a short-term adrenaline rush because it's drama. It's like, I want to be angry at something. I think as humans, we actually want to be angry at something. We want to have something to project our frustration and anger on. And not often do we actually look at the things that we can change. So when you're feeling upset, ask yourself that question: is this something that I can change? I was upset because we'd lost a football match. I can change that. I can change the reason I'm sad because I just need to grow up a little bit. It's a game of football. But then at the same time, I can't change the fact that I'm passionate. You know. But the thing I really couldn't change was the fact my birthday was with no family. That's what I was pretty upset about.
How was that
Yesterday,
experience?
a bit sort of a bit humbling. A bit humbling because you come out here and it's exciting and you're telling people it's super exciting, it's so fun, and then that happens and you're like, yeah, it's actually tough. It's actually tough. This last week in particular it's been really rough. Missing home and missing family, especially coming up to my birthday. Because obviously I'm super grateful for the family I'm with because they always make me feel like I'm part of the family. Um, but it isn't my family, So I'll always love the time we have and the conversations around the dinner table. We have a really nice dynamic, and I'm grateful for it. But it's nothing like when you're at home.
I know what you mean, bro.
So
And I think
it's tough.
going out to Australia, obviously there is that sort almost like obviously you're the one who's done it, but the way I've always seen it is also it's almost like that paradise of going solo traveling for a year. You're off to Australia, exploring the world. But it's interesting that we brought up the idea of experiencing lower feelings today because you being out in Australia, you're still living a normal life. Like you still got emotions. It's not all going to be amazing out there, and I know you're aware of that. As your friend, I want you to be aware of like maybe I don't want to put words into your mouth, but these sort of low moments of like you're out in Australia and you're feeling a bit low about something. It's like that's completely fine. Like, I don't know if you have, and I'll ask you the question, but being out of Australia and you're going solo traveling,
Yeah.
obviously, I don't know if you've had the feeling, but have you maybe experienced it feeling, oh, everything's got to be like amazing out here because it's like a dreamland. I've gone solo traveling, and then maybe when you're feeling those low moments, you're like, how am I feeling these emotions? Like I'm out in Australia, or I don't know if you've experienced that, but I just want to say for you, brother, like you're still a human being. Like even if you're in paradise of Australia, you're still going to feel low at times, and if you've had that sort of emotions on your birthday, bro, like it's completely normal. And I wouldn't want you to always be in a conflict of, oh, I can't feel low because I'm out in Australia, because like we always say, accept those emotions. Have you kind of experienced that a bit? Do you see
Yeah.
where I'm coming from, brother?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all have idealisms, and idealisms are created by your current environment. So, because we live in the UK, our idealism for most people is the sunshine.
In
It's
the
the beach.
sunshine.
Yeah. Yep. That's right, Dan. Yep. Um, it's new animals. It's sand. It's putting on sun cream in the morning to go out. It's having a tan, speaking to new people, new relationships, all sorts of stuff. Going out on nights out and being that English guy on a night out. Do you know what I mean? Like just being that English guy on a night out where someone's like, "Oh, you English?" and you're like, "Oh, English, yeah." And it's all a bit of fun. You know what I mean? It's like, but they're all created by what we have at home, and it's the desire for difference that creates our lust for places like Australia, for places like Thailand, for places like Brazil, for all these hot places and all these different places. It is because we want different. And when you get here, you realize that everyone's just as human as you are. Everyone's got struggles. People struggle with money here. People struggle with the cost of living. People struggle with homelessness. People struggle with drugs. There is crime. Um, there's an abundance of crime all across the country. Stuff goes wrong. People go missing. Like this is a normal place, and I knew it anyway. But now, having lived here for 2 months, I understand it more. But again, you live for those differences. The stars at night. I don't know if you saw that picture I posted on
Oh, mate,
Instagram
beautiful.
last night. Insane. Like that's like the galaxy. You're looking at the solar system right there. That's insane. You can just see that if you look up. That's what you crave when you come to places like this. So I would say that if you are looking to go somewhere, most people will say it's heaven on earth, and maybe it is, but I can guarantee you they've struggled days and times. And I just like to be open and honest about it. I think that Australia is probably the best place I've ever been to, without a shadow of a doubt, because it feels like home, but it's far away, and it's a bit different at the same time. Um, but it's not perfect. I'm not employed. I live on a budget. Grateful I live here for free, so it's like I can survive. If I was living in a big city and I didn't have a job for 3 months, I'd be finished. Like I wouldn't have the money. I'd have to go home. So yeah, I feel like it's important to be honest about places like this, and for anyone that does want to make the trip over, I'd highly recommend you do so. I've always lived in a big city, so it's tough living in somewhere quieter. That's another thing I will say. You've just got to go out and do these things. You've got to challenge yourself. This is a challenge. This is how I'm seeing this. So when I come home at night and I reflect, and maybe I don't feel so good about something, maybe how the day's gone, maybe I've not done a lot, I try not to think of, wow, today's ruined my experience, because it hasn't. Today has just been a pothole in a very, very long road, you know, and if you didn't have one, it'd be strange. And if I came out here for it to be easy, well, then that's stupid. I should have just gone to Spain for a week.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And it is interesting what you mentioned about Thailand as well, because people like to go out to those sort of places to almost find themselves. And I understand it because it's traveling. You're opening your mind to different things and you start to learn more about yourself. But like you say, like everywhere you go, people are always still human. There is always going to be struggle. I think that's what I was trying to touch on. But that idea of the potholes is great. But are you burning to say something? Because I was going to touch on to something else.
I was just going to say as well, like just quickly, like Anthony Bourdain. I know I'm going to bring it up again, but he actually once said, really, in an interview, he's like, everyone's got their own struggle. Everyone's trying to be themselves, feed their kids, do all this kind of stuff. No matter where you go in the world, this is what happens. Do you know? I think people forget that. So go out and explore, man. But just be aware of the fact that no matter where you go on this big floating rock in the middle of a random solar system, it's all going to be the same. It's all the
Yeah,
same.
facts. I just want to shout out the Lionesses for winning the
Oh
Women's
yeah,
Euros. I mean, I think it's phenomenal because I mean, if you look at the tournament, right, they didn't play the most amazing football. They weren't the best team in pretty much, especially the last few games of the tournament, but they still ended up
shocking
winning the
penalties.
tournament. It's getting through those sort of like that adversity of not playing very well, but still getting through those moments. But something interesting, I think, as well, is just the idea that people. I know there are definitely people out there who aren't a fan of women's football, and I don't understand it because there's no reason why women can't play football and win the Euros, and I think it's just great what they're doing. I think it's inspiring for younger girls trying to get into sport.
Mm.
So I just wanted to shout out them, but something more based on our journeys and my journey outside of the world topics and the women's Euros is a conflict between being young and wanting to have fun and go on a night out and maybe get a bit drunk and wake up in the morning regretting a few things, but then that also the conflict between that and trying to be professional and trying to build a career and trying to go towards those things you're really striving for. And I think that's a conflict I've definitely experienced recently because especially with my Instagram and with doing the podcast and all these things, it's interesting sometimes because people will think like, oh, like I imagine some people, and I'm going to assume, but I've got an idea. I think I've got a good idea of it. Is that some people would see it and go, "Oh, Dan's got things together. He doesn't like maybe go out and do dumb stuff like all of us." But yes, I do. I'll go out on a weekend and drink and sometimes and have a great night, and that's just being young. And that's something I will try and promote is the fact that people will look like they have their things together and they'll be doing something good with their life. They'll have a podcast or they'll get a new job, which they're doing really well in. But like we've just touched on, every human has their struggles. Like nothing is ever all perfect and no one ever has it all together. That is just something I want to make clear. But a conflict between being young and wanting to strive for your career goals and, being a professional you is something I definitely try hard to find the balance between sometimes because I almost feel bad for going out and having a drink, even though I'm a uni student. But because I've got the football coaching thing going on, I feel like I've got to keep it professional. But I'm 20 years old, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely a conflict I've had. And I think it's just understanding maybe at one point that maybe just become less and less and you become more professional. But I do think like across our lives, even if we get really professional and we level up in our careers, I still think there should always be that element of fun and being able to relax and kick back and not have to worry about your career and have a bit of fun and maybe wake up in the morning and have a bit of are there any regrets? Stop right there. This is Daniel talking here, and I know right now you're enjoying the episode, but I've just got to give a really big shout out to something, and it's Making It Moments. That's where our guests are. That's where the people we bring on to talk about their journeys are. Go and listen to Making It Moments. Go find them on our Spotify and YouTube. Find clips on our socials. Making It Poddy. Making It Moments. From last night, no, I'm all right. Like just that sort of being free in yourself still and not trying to be this perfect professional image. I think sometimes maybe we go for that when realistically we should just be free and have fun and make mistakes. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to go out and have fun. Do you know what I mean? It's that conflict I've had a little bit, but I'm 20 years old. I've got to remember that I'm still allowed to go out and have fun. Do you see where I'm coming from, bro?
Yeah, I think that people forget that we are just humans at the end of the day. Like we are just humans. We've got instincts. We want to go out on nights out. Again, you want to have things you regret. You want to go and meet someone. You want to go and do all these things. You know, why not? Like, why not? I don't see the point because there's people that are career people their whole life. They go put the suit on in the morning. They pack up the briefcase, the typical old saying, and they go to work. Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. But when you get to 70 and you can't do anything, you're being spoon fed. You're having your arse wiped for you, or
No, I would hope it's a bit older than 70.
a bit older than 70. You know what I mean? I mean, hopefully you get to 70 and it's not like that. I should say worst case scenario. But you get the point. When you get old and you can't do any of this stuff, are you really going to look back on your life and be like, oh, I'm so glad I made 45 grand a year and I drove I got rid of that Vauxhall Adam and I got a Mercedes. Like, is that not boring to you? I want to be thinking about, that time when we were in town, Dan, and we jumped over those bins. We're
Try
quite
to.
drunk. Well, yeah, we tried to jump over those bins. Or do you remember when you did a loop on the tram because you fell asleep on the tram? You know what I mean? These are things that you laugh about and you go, yeah, I remember that. That was wicked. And you think about other things. I don't remember going, God, I remember the day I bought this laptop I'm using now. It's irrelevant. The material stuff doesn't matter. And in terms of your main question that you're making and you're asking, it is okay to enjoy yourself. Just have your house in order. If you're going to go on a night out on a Saturday, in my opinion, make sure you've got all your work done for the week. Make sure you're set so that on Sunday, you don't have to panic. You can chill. I would say that in order to get to where you want to be, and again, I've not got to fully where I want to be, so I'm not giving you advice. I'm just saying what I'd do. Get your stuff ready for the week, and then on the Saturday, you can have a good night out. Sunday, you can chill. Or like us, you go to work. It's just what you do, you know? So it's all about organization. It's all about structure in your life, right? I would say that's important. But at the same time, be open to stuff just happening spontaneously, because that will open you up to like a massive, just gargantuan galaxy of random stuff you could just do in your life that you never thought you could do. I've just put words together there for the sake of it, but you know what I mean? I'm trying to emphasize just
I
how
know
much
where
stuff
you're
you
coming
can do.
from, bro. I
If you
know where you're
don't just
coming
go,
from.
sorry, I've got to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, and you just go, oh, do you know what, mate? Let's just go and do it. Let's just go and do it.
Yeah,
It's just a bit of fun.
I
Enjoy
agree,
your
bro.
life because it's not
I
all
agree,
about
bro.
work.
100%, bro. 100%. And I definitely found myself at uni last year getting a bit too sucked into that. Like, oh, I'm doing well for myself. I'm doing the football coaching. I'm doing well at uni. Mate, just go on a night out, mate, and have a bit of fun.
I don't know, mate. I don't
Like
know,
you,
mate. I've
you.
seen you at Dublin. I've seen you at Dublin.
But something I do want to say is I think the people who listen to this podcast will know. But I definitely know there's a couple of people who have seen the clips and they think potentially that we try give life advice and things like this. But I think something I do want to say, and for those listening that you're probably already aware because you listen regularly, but this podcast, like if you actually listen to an episode, which I think a lot of people have just seen clips and never actually listened to an episode, we're just open about what we do in our week, the struggles of our journey, the good things that are happening. And we both haven't got anything, we haven't got it figured out, bro. Yes, we've both been successful in some things, but we've also been unsuccessful in others, and we're still figuring a lot of things out. And I think one thing I think we can both agree on this is yes, we do give some advice sometimes because maybe we have been through something, so we know what to say about that. But me and you, bro, like this podcast is about making it, and the question mark is because of there's so many different aspects to it and different journeys, and everyone's got a different journey. And I think this isn't like a life advice podcast, and I think you would agree. This is just me and you, like figuring things out, and then wanting to get other people on board and understanding the journey and how everyone has a different journey. And I think what I really am appreciative of is the fact that there are some people who have listened to this podcast and they've really been grateful for how open we've been about things. Because I think in a world where people want to act like they've got it figured out, and we have this image of, oh, we're all doing well, like everyone's got something they're thinking about every day. And I think it's important to just be honest about things, just like last week. And
Mm.
shout out to Big Kev because he said obviously last week he had a cracking performance on the pod. But just being honest and just be honest, but just being honest about yourself and things, it's so important, man. It really is. And I think last episode was a good one. So if you listen to this one right now, if you haven't listened to the last one, listen to Honesty because it's a good one.
And you know what? Listen to the whole podcast that we do because, as you say, like we are just documenting and being honest about stuff that is going on in our life. And again, you going home and listening to music like I do might do nothing for you, and you might think this guy's an absolute tool. What's he talking about? But at the end of the day, it's just what we're doing. We're human beings. We're just sharing what we do, or like any other podcast does. And like some of the negative comments we get, even though we just laugh them off, and people maybe think they're a bit more effective than they are. I would actually say that is an example of what I was speaking about earlier about people worrying about things. They can't change what we do. So why comment?
No, keep commenting though.
I mean, keep doing it because it's engagement, and we love that. We love engagement. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I really hate it when people share and give us hate comments because like it's just not good for anybody. Come on, get the hell out of it. If you're on social media, if you're on TikTok and you've got a public account, give us hate because we love it. But at the end of the day, you will have to sit back after putting your phone down and go, oh my God, I just took the mick out of two people that are literally just talking about their life. How can you take the mick out of that? It's amazing. And do you know what? I actually commend the sort of innovation that people and the sort of thought process people go through to go, yeah, I'm going to take the mick out of two people that are literally just talking on a screen. Like it's baffling. But again, that's mentality. I think that'd be something good we could talk about in a future episode, is mentality towards other people's projects. Because at the end of that, I do think we should be more supportive as people of everything. Of, you know, obviously, I think we've taken big strides in terms of supporting every ethnicity, every sexuality, every culture. I think we're taking great steps towards being more inclusive. But I feel like sometimes we take a step back in supporting people in their career ambitions because people are just so fixated on trolling.
Well, I think it's that mirror image as well. I think when people see someone doing something good or starting something which they're afraid of doing, it's almost like a mirror reflecting it on themselves. The fact that they're not doing it themselves, so then they just portray that onto that person because they wish they were doing it themselves. I think
Yeah,
that's a big one as well. I think people almost like, why am I not doing something good? You know what I mean? But just appreciate that someone else is. You know, back it.
yeah, back it, and 100%. If you're thinking about going and commenting on someone's post, and you know, I've commented on a couple of Instagram posts lately because they were dissing my favorite album that's out right now, Alfredo 2.
I
So
still need to
he's never
listen to
going
that.
to shit. You're not listening to it.
Not yet, bro. Now I've not got around to it, man. I need to do it.
Shout out Freddie Gibbs. He's never going to see this. But Making It Podcast loves you, mate. But he was just being trolled by a load of these like Taylor Swift fans in the comments. So I thought I'd reply. But anyway, that's all irrelevant. But it's interesting what we speak about. It's interesting to think of other people's perspective on careers and again making it, and why we do certain things. I just think the human psychology is super interesting. You need to bring out like a graph, Dan, or like do a little PowerPoint because I actually want to understand more about human psychology, especially when it comes towards your mates doing well. It's just like your mates doing well and then someone else doing well. There seems to be some sort of disparity between them, and I don't get why people on social media think it's a good idea to bring people down. Obviously, we're not going to complain because of the engagement, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I know. I think it is just that reflecting on yourself. Like, I think people see other people and they almost envy it, so then they want to portray that. I think that's the
Yeah,
biggest thing. But mate, it's been another good, open, honest episode. But just before we end, I would like you to share your Uber story on the way back from your birthday.
tambourine man. So we were stuck in Byron last night. It was crap. Dead. Byron was dead. It's never dead on a Sunday. Obviously, my birthday, it is dead. So cheers to all the Aussies out there that should have been making my birthday good. So we got a taxi to my mate's house because I wasn't going to stay around myself in Byron, and we were waiting on his sofa, and this car pulls up, big Ford Everest, it's called, and I bought the comfort Uber because the normal Ubers weren't working, and I'm like, well, I've got to get home, so I've got to just do anything. There was nothing comfortable about this Uber, I promise you. And paying the extra $20 was kind of like, I don't know if it was a bad idea or a good idea in hindsight. He pulls up, and I get in the car, and he's like, you know, do you like Stevie Wonder? Immediately. I'm like, it's all right, yeah. Blasts the speaker up as loud as he can. And we start driving, and he's like, oh, I don't know which way to go. We could go the normal way, or we could go the quick way. I was like, what's the quick way? And he's like, oh, just down here. I was like, I saw just forest and fucking, pardon me, and forest and dirt roads. I was like, we can't go down there. He's like, no, it'll be all right. Flicks the 4x4 on. And in the back of his taxi, I should have mentioned this earlier, in the back of the taxi is just full of tambourines and maracas. So I'm actually having to move them out of my seat. I had to move them to get in, and then I'm moving them from behind me. I've got a tambourine. So every time we go over a pothole, I've just got a tambourine smacking my back. And I'm like, I feel like Liam Gallagher. I'm just constantly smacking this tambourine. So I move it away. And we get about halfway through this journey, and it's just forest. It's all just forest around us. It's dark. There is nothing at all. No people, no houses, no nothing. Just a dirt road. We're inland as well. So like we're high up in the hills. And I'm like, this is creepy. I don't like this at all. I was super on edge. Pulls over, and I'm like gripping the keys in my pocket because I'm thinking if anything's happening, this is terrifying. And he turns around and goes, what music are you into, mate? I was like, oh, what, right now? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, Dire Straits? And he goes, oh, that brings me back to a time I kissed a girl on a dance floor in 1983. And she loved me so much, she went and took me to see Dire Straits. And I was like, oh, right, that's pretty cool. Nice. And he said, oh, they had that song on, Money, something Money. I was like, oh, Money for Nothing. Yeah, yeah. And he just puts it on. And I don't know if you've ever heard Money for Nothing. Wild song. And Brothers in Arms as well. Brothers in Arms was the second one he put on. But he just blasts it up. And the bass of this guitar, I felt like it was perforating my eardrums. And we eventually got driving again, and he was just speeding everywhere. Just speeding. I don't know how we get there, but
It's a weird Uber story, man.
it's down this freeway, and you can just direct me at the end. And I'm like, all right. And so I get home, jump out, and I'm just like, what
Little
was
fever
that?
dream story.
What the hell was that?
Well, at
Honestly,
least you're all safe,
experienced
mate,
so
because
many.
that could have gone a bit west.
It could have gone west for sure. I've experienced a lot of fever dreams because you're somewhere that's a bit more remote. You just got some weird characters, just some really strange people. But again, come out and experience it, and just go, and if you see a crazy person, man, don't be too put off by them, because there might be something funny behind it that you want to just experience one time.
Yeah, well, brother, it's been another good episode, man. Thank you for your time as always, bro. And go look at our social media if you haven't before: Instagram, TikTok, Making It Poddy. And if you want to send an email across about any feedback, anything, makingitpoddy@gmail.com.
Please do it. Looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 10 in the morning every single week. Episode 31 of the Making It podcast. See you soon.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
Feel so right.